Today is the 7th of May, 2002. I'm Dina Shefet interviewing Clara Olech. Clara was born in Czechoslovakia. She was in hiding in a monastery. She will tell her story during the wartime and after that. Please, Clara, can you tell me your first memory, some background of your family, and if you remember people, mention them in the full name. Yeah?
Okay. I was brought from Czechoslovakia when I was 9 months old to Antwerp, Belgium. And in Antwerp, Belgium, I started to remember I had a very happy childhood. My parents, my 3 brothers who were a lot older than me. My oldest brother was over 8 years older, and my youngest brother was about five and a half years older. So my middle brother was about 7 years older, and they were spoiling me. That's from what I remember. I remember I started kindergarten when I was 3 years old.
Will you first mention the names of your parents and brothers and sisters?
Okay, my father was Isaac Weinstein, or Kesriel Weinstein, whatever you want in Hebrew. My mother was Risa Weinstein. My oldest brother was Philip Weinstein, who was 8 years older than me. My second brother, who lives in England now, my oldest brother never came back. My second brother, Martin, is called Martin Bilsen now because they changed his name. He was in the English army, and they changed his name from Weinstein to Wilson in case if he get caught in the German army. So he was 7 years older, and my youngest brother is Sammy Weinstein, and he is 5.5 years older. And they are the ones who spoiled me very much as a child, because I was the only girl, I was a little princess. So I was very spoiled, nicely spoiled, because my parents really kept me more or less strictly, but my lawyers were my brothers. If anybody wanted to punish me, I had 3 defendants for me. But I went to school in Antwerp, and I learned Flemish and French.
Do you know some background of your family? Where were they born? The ancestors, I mean, the grandparents?
The ancestors were from, my father's ancestors come from Munkacs. That's where my parents got married. In Munkacs in 1917, I think. I'm not too sure the date anymore. And my grandfather was in Munkacs. My grandmother, I don't know them because I never knew them. We never saw them. I never saw them. And there was a lot of family there that was deported still from Czechoslovakia.
So you knew nothing of you did not see them?
No,
they didn't come
I
to
never
visit.
saw them, no, I never went. The only time that I remember my father going back was, I think my grandmother had passed away. That's the only thing that I remember. In the late 1930s, I don't remember really anything from them. I never really saw them. I went normally to school in Antwerp until Friday, May 10th, 1940, when the war started.
What do you remember, I mean, more details about your childhood before the Nazis came?
Before the Nazis?
Yeah.
Normal childhood, had a lot of friends, went to school.
Was your family religious?
I beg your pardon?
Your family was religious?
Yes, yes.
How did you celebrate the holidays? How did you, what do you remember of all that?
Well, going to shul, going to synagogue with my mother, my brother. My brother was, as you remember, you had him interviewed, he was in a choir. All my brothers were in the choir. They went to religious school. I didn't go. I went to public school because I didn't have any religious school for girls, and I went to regular public school, which was very nice too.
Did you have non-Jewish friends?
No. No. Always only between Jewish people. I mean, yes, I knew neighbors, we spoke, we think this, at the time I spoke very good Flemish. No, I wouldn't, I would have had a hard time. The only languages that I speak now really is French, English, and Yiddish. And I understand German. If I have to, I would break my teeth a little bit, but I would speak it. Not too well, but a little. But those are the languages that I know. My parents, when they didn't want to understand what they spoke, they spoke Hungarian. But, very rarely. But, I went through all the childhood sicknesses, normal childhood, up until the war broke out.
Was it a Zionist family?
I beg your pardon?
Was it a Zionist family?
No. We had, my father had his brother in Antwerp too, and I had my cousins who lived in Antwerp too. As a matter of fact, most of the cousins that were in Antwerp are now in America too.
Nobody was here?
Nobody
in Israel, in Palestine?
No. Nobody, no, we didn't have anybody here. They were in France like me, and as a matter of fact, my cousins were in Italy too. They were hidden there. My uncle was taken in Italy, and my father was taken in France to labor camp. When the war started, the war started May 10th, 1940, on a Friday. And they took all the boys and young men from 17 till 35 had to go to the French frontier, which was called La Panne. And we were supposed to meet them, we were supposed to follow, because they were bombed, and we were supposed to follow them to La Panne. But when my father got a truck to take us with all our luggage, where there were a lot of people there too, instead of taking us to La Panne, to where we were supposed to meet my 3 brothers, he took us to Ostend in Belgium. And from Ostend, there was no railway or tram or bus, I don't know, a trolley car, they call it in English trolley cars, that usually used to go to the little villages near the French frontier. But to La Panne, where my brothers were, there was none anymore. So we went through another way, ended up in a little village near the French frontier, where I remember we slept over, and my mother left a lot of luggage by people that we were, I don't remember exactly, because I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old in May 2nd, and May 10th the war had started. So anyway, so we ended up in Calais, France, and from Calais we went to Cherbourg, and in Calais we met people that told us that my brothers were waiting in La Panne still. My brother Martin, who lives now in England, he went with his friends. He didn't wait. He went with his friends up to Paris, and from Paris they went to Marseille, and from Marseille they went to Gibraltar.
So actually, your father decided to leave very early.
What do you mean very early?
Very early, already very shortly after the beginning of the war.
At the beginning of the war, yes. We left, the war started Friday, and we left, if I remember well, because they were bombing with fire bombs. That I remember very well.
What did your father do for living?
He was a tailor. He was a tailor because he had a tailor business. And it was very nice. And my mother was a housewife. My father was a thing. And when we left, the Friday, And we left, it was either Monday or Tuesday.
Do you know whose decision was to leave, your father or your mother?
Both, because we didn't want to stay with the one, because the night before we left, they were bombing with fire bombs. And it was very hard. As a matter of fact, we were supposed to take a taxi or a private car, but you couldn't get any. He only could get that truck. They took us with a lot of people, because that truck, as a matter of fact, that truck, what happened was, I don't know if it's interesting, instead, like I said, instead of bringing us where he said he's going to bring us, put us down in quite a bit before La Panne, in Ostend. And in Ostend, he wanted to go back to make more money to Antwerp, but he was caught from the military, which we were happy to see. But then, like I said, we took the trolley car to another part to get through the French frontier. And from there, we ended up in Calais, from Calais to Cherbourg, and from Cherbourg, we got, I don't know, trains, and we ended up in the south of France, in Camarès. And this is more or less what I remember, in Camarès, and then from Camarès we moved to Saint-Affrique, which was a bigger little village, because there were a lot more Jewish people there. And from there...
How long did you stay in Saint-Affrique?
In Saint-Affrique from 1940, about June 1940, no, not June, about August 1940, till March 1943. But in between, they took my father to forced labor in a camp, forced labor camp, travailler forcé, in Camp Agde, that's in Herold. And when we heard about that people were going to be deported and all that, that he was going to be deported, I myself, who didn't need a laissez-passer, it's like a French, French ID. I didn't need it yet because I wasn't 14. I was about 14. I didn't need yet that paper. So I went to see my father in the camp. And I was going to tell him he should get out, because up until the day that I arrived to that camp, he was free to go and come. There in the village where the camp was. Once they finished working, after 6 o'clock, I think they were free to get out of the camp and come back in the camp. You know, they had to identify themselves when they went out or went in, but they were guarded, but not so bad. The day that I arrived to that camp, my father was still at work, and that same day, the Garde Mobile, which is like state troopers, came and surrounded the camp. When he came from work, he couldn't go out anymore. And as a matter of fact, one of these had pity on me. He took me home to his family. I was very innocent. You know, when I think back how innocent I was, I went with that state guard. He said he had a family. He had his wife, and I slept over by him. He brought me back the next day to see my father, and that was the last time I saw my father, because they were going to deport him to Rivesaltes in France, to another camp, and from there I heard he went to Drancy. But he's not on the list, and that I have to inquire, because I was in Yad Vashem. I looked up the thing, because my brother from Belgium, who was deported, my oldest brother who never came back, who was deported from Malin, from Mechelen, he is on the list over here, Yad Vashem, the date and everything. My father, I couldn't find on any lists from France, not from Drancy, I don't know, he's like disappeared.
Can you tell me now, it's the time to tell me more about your father. What do you remember of your father?
My father? Normal childhood. Nice.
His personality.
He liked a lot of music. If I remember, he had all kind of records, Jewish cantors, and Gigli, Benjamin Gigli from Italian. You know, the record player was always going when he was home. And he was very musical. He was very knowledgeable in Hebrew. He could conduct a whole, whole shul regular. And
do you remember certain, if we mention holidays, do you remember certain holidays?
Yes, I remember the Kiddush on Friday night. They were singing at the Kiddush. I remember the holidays, you got new clothing, you wear a thing. This all is normal Jewish life. Pesach, I remember the special food.
What did you eat in Pesach?
On Pesach, my mother used to bake these Pesach special cakes. She used to, we used to have coffee with matzah, with jam, with butter, with, all the special bubelach, kigelach, it was normal Jewish life. If I have to describe you, it was very religious. And, we lived in a very Jewish neighborhood in Antwerp. And yes, there were Christians too, and I mean, I never had any special Christian friends, but we were not, we spoke, we didn't come one to the other's houses. But in school, I had a lot of friends that were non-Jewish, but we were in a Jewish neighborhood. So it was, you can say, it's not a ghetto, because we never had a ghetto. We had, if what I remember from my childhood, I had scarlet fever, which is, if you want to know that. And I was supposed to be taken to a hospital, but I was put in one of the rooms, completely separate. My brother, who used to sleep with me in one room, he slept with the other boys, because we had like 5, 6 rooms. And that room was completely sterilized. The doctor came every day, took care of me. Once I was finished, that was for 6 weeks, that I remember. Once I was finished with the 6 weeks, we declared it, and then we had to go out of the apartment and they completely disinfected it. But up until I was 6, because my mother didn't want to let me go into a hospital, she was afraid they won't take care like this. Doctor came every day and took care of me. And it was called Dr. Barn. Anybody who was from Antwerp would know who he was. He was a very, very nice man. And as a matter of fact, after I came back, after I got married, I went back to him, and he was, he took care of me. But it's a normal childhood. What should I say? We had Friday night, we sang, we benched, we did the...
Did you speak Yiddish or French?
Yes, I speak Yiddish. No, in the house we only spoke Yiddish. Outside we spoke Flemish and French. The Jewish kids spoke French. Mostly in Antwerp they only spoke Flemish.
You were very small, of course, but did you have a feeling as a child? As a young
I was
girl,
happy. I was a very happy little girl.
Did you feel anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic remark or something like that? Never.
No. As a matter of fact, my oldest brother he was the one who always kept his promise. He always took me, most of the time, all over. He took me. But my middle brother, he used to promise and never did. And my youngest brother, would I meet him in a movie, I would get anything I want from him just to get rid of me.
Yeah, but my question is if you felt any kind of anti-Semitism.
No,
never.
No, I never as a child, never, no.
And your parents did not speak about it?
No. I never felt any anti-Semiticite at all. I was like anybody else. I really don't know. It's only during the war that, that I knew there were Germans. The only thing is, yes, that there were a lot of German refugees that were in Antwerp who used to tell the stories, you know, that they were persecuted and they came and how it was. But otherwise, in Antwerp, I never felt anything. I don't remember as a child. You know, I had a completely normal childhood. And very, you know, like I said, I was very spoiled for my brothers, a very happy childhood. I had a lot of friends, we came together, but real friends were only Jewish kids. No mixing. Like I said, we lived in a Jewish neighborhood, and it was only Jewish kids.
I stopped you when you spoke about the last time you saw your father.
Yes. I saw my father, I don't remember what date it was, in 1942, in beginning of August. That was a bit because we were taken, that I'll tell you, we were taken, they came, that's with my mother, I will tell you how we were able to stay. My father, in the beginning of August, when we started hearing people, you know, my mother was hearing and I heard the stories that people were taken away, were sent away. So my mother wanted that my father should come back, you know, get out of camp, you know, we should come back to Saint-Afrique, and that we should all get hide together. Because in Saint-Afrique, we could hide. And, you know, there would have been places where we could, because we knew us during the war, you know, we went to, I used to go to the farms to get eggs and to get, you know, all kind of food.
How did they make their living? You were a big family, your father was in the camp.
In the camp? No, in the camp, well, it was only because my two brothers, my youngest brother, my oldest brother, went back. They were caught by the Germans in La Panne, and they went back to Antwerp. Like I told you, my middle brother who lives now in England, he went further up and ended up in the English military. But we were only my father, my mother, and me in France.
And they made, and the money they took from...
No, I think, I don't know really. I think that the government was keeping us as refugees. That is one thing that I really can't say, because, you know, as a child, I never paid attention, you know, I never paid attention to making living or what living is. I knew what I needed, I got. Yes, we were very short in food. So I used to walk to farms with my mother or my father to buy butter, to buy eggs, to get potatoes, you know, whatever you could get. That I remember, because I was the only one who spoke French. Then they learned a little bit, but it was nothing special. So I was the only one who spoke French. So, but...
And your father kept his Jewish appearance, I mean...
No, he didn't have a beard. My mother neither, no.
He did not have a beard?
No, it was normal hair and no beard. That was shaved, you know, he was a modern Jewish Jew. We could keep religion, but he wasn't a Hasidic. You know, he was like Aguda Mizrahi, you know. That was, you know, with hat and all, the religion strict, everything very strict, but modern. Like I said, but living from where in France, I cannot say, because as a child I never paid attention to these things. It's like here, do the children know? Yes, they know what the profession from the father is, what they do. Like my son is the pharmacist, my daughter-in-law works in a Jewish agency. But from where the kids, you know, they're supported. There is no look, you know, how much money or what money, that as a child you don't pay attention to these things. Unless, God forbid, you're very poor, you know that you cannot buy or you cannot think, but otherwise as children, you don't pay anything there. But like I said, in France, my father got deported. I came back to Saint-Afrique, and on August 26th, my mother had gone because my mother needed an operation from ladies, something done from ladies, and she had a very, very nervous stomach. The day before, they came to pick us up because we heard that they're coming. How my mother knew what, that I don't know. Because as a child, I didn't pay attention to this. But I know she went to the doctor, got her a certificate that she needed to be operated. But she had a very nervous stomach. If she, she was very easy in vomiting. And the day that they came to pick us up, that in the middle of the night of August 26, she had made borscht. You know what borscht is, okay? She had made borscht, and that's a very interesting song. And she had drunk it. While they were there, she drank it, and she threw up. And they thought it was blood. I'll never in my life forget, I wouldn't remember the faces, or how they went back. Like, they were standing next to her, and how they went back, and they told her she can stay. Okay. So I said, I cannot go away with you because I'm the only one who speaks French. Everybody was there. They told me in the middle of the night, that's like 2, 3 o'clock in the middle of the night when they came, come to the gendarmerie with us. How do you say, to the police station with us. They took me to the police station, and it was quite a while from where we lived, and he spoke to the main person there. I don't know exactly what he was, who he was, and they took me off the list. They were going to deport me and leave my mother, because they thought that she had with her lungs, so, that it was blood that she threw up. And he explained it to the main prefect. I don't know who he was, the main person, because he wasn't in any uniform. The ones who came to pick up us were gendarmerie, were policemen. But the main person was in civil clothing, and he was speaking. He had the whole list from the people that I had taken together, and he took me up the list. And in the middle of the night, I walked home all alone. 14 years old. I came home, and my mother had fainted away. She had completely fainted away. So naturally, I revived her, and then she was operated on because she needed that surgery. And after that, where we were sleeping during the day, we were not living during the day. Where we were during the day, it was like hiding place from one place to the other.
In Saint-Affrique.
In Saint-Affrique.
So you were in several places in Saint-Affrique.
There was only, we went to houses. As a matter of fact,
or they helped you, the organization?
Yes, people helped us to be,
Who were they, the people? Jews, non-Jews?
No, non-Jews.
So you went to several...
Because the Jews were exactly in the same boat, because most of the Jews were taken away. Most of the Jews were taken away. The ones who stayed started hiding. Where they were during the day, there wasn't one place where we were, as I remember. As a matter of fact, I remember that one time I had like a very bad sore throat, and we were hiding by a Protestant Christian reverend who was hiding us. But exactly how many places I was, or how many places we were hiding, that I don't remember. I remember that where we were during the day, we were not during the night. Where we were during the night, we were not during the day. It was from place to place.
Do you remember some faces, some people? Who were they, the people that helped you?
Like I said, one thing I remember...
One is the Protestant, yeah?
Protestant priest. Reverend.
Yeah, the reverend.
In his family.
Families, with
families. It was always families
with
that
children, with...
Yeah, but the children didn't see us. We were put in places where, where the children could not see us. It was like, nobody should know that we are there. Then they came from a certain Martha, she doesn't live anymore, from the Osei. I don't know from where she came from, the Osei, and she came to my mother, and she said, if she wants to send me away to be hidden in a convent, that she will take me, but my mother is not allowed to know where I am. She will bring correspondence and she will take correspondence, but she's not allowed, because God forbid, in case if she is caught, then she doesn't know where I am and she cannot say where I am. So I was taken to the convent to Rue, which was really an old age home, and there were 17 girls there. She picked up more girls on the way to that convent. As a matter of fact, my friend Sabine, who is in New York now, my friend Edith, who is still in New York too, we were 3 people who are in New York together, who were hidden together. And I was there from March 1943 up until August 1944. The liberation of France from England, they debarked from England was June 6th, and I was up until August 1944 in the convent. Then somebody again came, I don't remember his name, came to pick me up from the convent in Rue and brought me back to Saint-Afrique to my mother, because it was already liberated too. And we stayed from 1944, from August 1944 up until, I think, March 1945, when we returned to Belgium. But in between, my brother from England got permission as a soldier through the Red Cross. He knew that we were alive and where we were, and he got permission, he got off leave from the English army to come and visit us first. This was something else. Somebody who was very good friends with us came up, because she didn't want to give a shock for my mother, and said, you have a very nice visitor. Sit down. And my brother came up, which was the biggest joy. That was my brother Martin, which was absolutely unexpected, because we didn't know where he was or what he was. We didn't know, because though we were through the Red Cross, but we didn't know. He came up, and then a few months later, that was, I don't remember the month, that was in 1944, and in about end of February or beginning of March 1945, he came to pick us up. Again, he got leave from the army to bring us back to Belgium, and we were not to Antwerp, because in Antwerp there were the flying bombs, the V2s were flying, a lot ended up in Antwerp, so we were living in Brussels for over a year.
But I want to go back with you
Yeah.
to the monastery where you were in hiding.
To Rue,
Yes.
we were okay. The nuns were nice to us, but we worked.
When you say very nice, maybe you can go to more details.
Okay.
How did they behave?
They tried to feed us, but we had to work. We worked in the gardens. We worked in the washrooms. You know, we were helping. We worked outside. We went to saw trees for fire. The girls, you know, we did work. You know, all kind of works. Everybody had, each day had a.
How did your day start? You got very early?
We got up early. We washed ourselves from head to foot with ice cold water. But we could wash ourselves, which was the most important thing. And then we ate something. They tried to give us food, but naturally it was war. So then we each had a job to do. Though we were small, though we were 14, 15 years old, there were a lot of, you know, helping out. Inside, outside. And as a matter of fact, the nun that she risked her life, the one that's over here has a tree plant, she really risked her life, because
What was her name, please?
Sir Antoinette du Sacré-Cœur. Sœur Antoinette du Sacré-Cœur was the Mother Superior, was Notre Mère. And the one who took care of us was Sœur Jeanne-Françoise. She doesn't live anymore. She's younger than Sœur Antoinette, but she passed away. She, as a matter of fact, has a plaque over here. We honored her here 5 years, more, about 8 years ago in Yad Vashem. She took care of us, and she taught us a little bit English too. We had like 1 or 2 hours, like English, a little English lesson.
What about the religious ceremonies?
That we went every day to Mass. We had to go every day to Mass. As a matter of fact, I was one who sang in the choir in Mass. There were 3 girls who were singing, because the people around who came to the Mass, they did not know who we were. They knew we were refugees from the north, children that were bombed out in the north, and we were there because of that. And we had to follow everything. We had to go to the, to all their sermons, to Vepra on Sunday, we had to follow the complete, because it shouldn't be suspicious that we were not Catholic, that we were hidden. And as a matter of fact, why do I say that the Mother Superior risked her life? Because there was a revolt, and there were Yugoslavian soldiers by the Germans in Villefranche-Drouer. That's Rue is près de Villefranche. That's about 4 kilometers from Villefranche-Drouer. And they revolted. They were 16, 17-year-old soldiers, and they ran away. So they were looking for them, and they came to the portal from the convent, because convents have very big iron portals, doors that are locked. And they rang the bell, and we had places where we thought we will be hiding. If they would have come in, they would have found us, would be no, as children, we thought that it was hiding. We ran into the woods, but in the woods, they would have found us. But she risked her, like I said, she lied to them. She said she didn't lie that the soldiers, because there were no soldiers that had come to our part. But they asked, do you have anybody else? She said, no, only 8 people. You want to come in? So they didn't come in. That was our luck, because otherwise we would have been caught. Because as children, we thought there were hiding places, but in reality, when you know another thing, you look back, you know that it was really no hiding place. But we were there as children bombed out from the north. Like they made colonies.
There were other Jewish girls?
Yes, we were 17 Jewish girls.
And you knew who?
No, we didn't know from the beginning who they were, but then yes, we knew. There were about, as a matter of fact, there's another lady who was 9 years older than me. She was one of the oldest there from the girls, from the 17 girls. She's in New York too. We see each other from time to time with her, but in reality, I have my friends who are more or less. Sabine is 2 years older than me. My friend Edith is the same age than me. And Sabine had a sister who passed away who was the same age when. Then there were girls from Paris. There were girls from France. I don't know exactly from where. We were 17 girls together. As a matter of fact, 3 girls who originally were from Germany, they came to Israel. They took them to Israel in with the Jewish underground, came to pick them up, because they didn't know where their parents were. They were from Germany, and they brought them to Israel. Exactly where they are. One is near the Jordan frontier. I don't know exactly how you call. I have a phone number in New York, but I forgot to take it with me. And then the other one, I think, lives near Haifa. And the third one, I don't know exactly, maybe near Tel Aviv. I don't know. The only time that I saw them back was when we honored that Sœur Jeanne, who has a plaque over here, and we were, that we were down in Yad Vashem over here, where they have all the Jewish, you know, the Jewish, the cities from where people were deported around there. But exactly, you know, we never, friendly I really was with the two girls that were from Antwerp. You know, it's all over that we were friendly, but there were little cliques that in between this, you know, between us, that we were more or less together. All of us were very friendly together, but most of them, you know, from where you came, that's where you were. But why did I say that the sisters were nice? They tried to let us have our Jewish holiday. Pesach, they tried to give us food that were not chametz. Tisha B'Av, we didn't eat, we were fasting, so at night they kept the ration from the whole day, they gave us at night. They tried to, that's what I mean when I say that they were nice, you know? They didn't, because my friend, and then she was, before she came to that convent, she was in a convent with her sister, and they took her out, they wanted to convert her. They were very nasty to her. You see, so we were lucky. I felt we were lucky, but because they didn't want to convert us. They let us be what we were. It's only when we were, you know.
And the other girls were not suspicious of you?
No, there were none. Everybody who was hidden was Jewish. The other nuns did not know from where we came. The other nuns thought too. There were only 3 nuns that knew who we were. That was the nurse, the sister who took care of us, and the superior. The cook, the other nuns who were taking care of the elderly, you know, the senior people that were there, they had no idea that we were Jewish. They all thought that we were, you know, from the north, because we spoke with a different accent than from the south. So we bombed our children from the north. And they did not know. And from the Osei came usually to visit us every, I don't know, maybe every 2 months, maybe every 3 months. Sometimes a non-Jewish person, I don't remember her name, who was very nice, came to see us too. They took like mail from me to my mother, and from my mother brought me to me. But very rarely did they come. How much in between, I don't remember. But it was in the convent, like I said, we were from the refugees, and the girls were we were only 17 girls. And the rest of the people were like married people, which I don't know exactly who, how, when. But I know there were 45 people together that they were hiding, Jewish people. But it was a hard life, and the fright, being caught from the time that they took us, was always there.
Did you write something to your mother through the organization?
Yes, they came, yes, I write. The first 8 days that she had taken me away, I almost didn't eat. I was crying all the time. I had never been away from my mother. And it was one, not the other kids. And me, when I'm upset, I cannot eat. This is from childhood on. Because like I said, when they came to pick us up, that 2 times in my life, I trembled from head to toe with my teeth clacking. It was the night where they were bombing in Antwerp. The fire bombs were flying. My teeth went like that. My whole body was trembling. And the night they came to that they took me with them, when they came to pick up my mother and me, that night I remember too, I was trembling from head to toe with my teeth clacking. But the fright that they're gonna catch me, was always there. That was during the whole war. At night we had nightmares. You know, we could yell out in the middle of the night where the sister would come, because she slept with us in her own little cabin or whatever you call it, you know. But I would cry out in the middle of the night, you know, fright. The fright was always with you until we were liberated. That I cannot explain it. that fright to be caught. I was a child. I hadn't done anything. Why do they want to catch me? It was very, very traumatic as a child, you know. You were always afraid. From each move that you would hear from a stranger or whatever, you were always afraid. You lived with that whole time with such a fright. You cannot explain it. Even until now, sometimes I have nightmares that I'm looking for my children. I'm losing it. I always was afraid I will lose them. Like, you know, you cannot explain. This is in you. Like, sometimes until this day, I have nightmares where I will start with my father, with my brother. I'm looking for them, I cannot find them, and end up with my own family, with my husband or my children. It's nightmares that you cannot get rid of. In the middle of the night, you know, I will wake up in the minute I will not know where I am. And then, you know, the whole thing, you know, when I see where I am and think the whole thing is, thank God it's only a nightmare. This is something that I don't think I will ever get lost of, you know, that I don't think this will be with me all the time. But though I never was in a camp, though I never, you know, I cannot say that I have the same thing as a camp, but that not knowing, am I going to get caught? Am I not going to get caught? You know, this is something that you cannot, how will I say, explain. But thank God I have now a very nice family. My husband, as a matter of fact, I can show you the pictures. I have pictures from what were taken by my grandson's bar mitzvah. One picture in New York with the whole family together, my children from here, my grandchildren from here, and my husband with my daughter and her children. It was at the bar mitzvah my grandson was going to be, who's now here in Talpiot learning, in Merkaz, Yeshiva Merkaz in Talpiot. It was at his bar mitzvah that I have from the whole family. And then I have a picture from 3 years ago that my grandson, who's now he's going to be 16, the 23rd, 3 years ago from his bar mitzvah, from the family from here. And my daughter, and I don't have with my daughter and son-in-law together, because he only came to the Saturday ceremony, and then he had to go back because his brother was marrying his daughter on Lag BaOmer, and the bar mitzvah for my grandson was on Lag BaOmer too. But it's, thank God, I have a wonderful family. Very proud of them, all professionals. My daughter is a high school teacher. My son-in-law has a big office from CPA, certified accounting. And my husband, who is still working, thank God, is working in he was working in a, how do they call it, import business. He wasn't his own boss, but he was manager there. All these years that he's working, thank God he's still working. He's 4 years older than me. Almost 4 years older than me. And my life in New York is very nice. I mean,
I still want to go back with you to the monastery. To the
convent.
To the convent, yeah,
yes.
To the convent.
Yes. What kind of questions?
If you have some, you remember a little more about the life there.
Like I said, we got up in the morning, we ate something, whatever they could have, and then we started, like I said, we worked. We had 2 hours that there was the nun who took care of us. She happened to be an English teacher. She used to be in England. She's a Swiss, from Swiss, and she was a teacher. So she gave us 2 hours in the late afternoon before we ate some supper. She gave us, but up until like from, I don't know, was it 8, was it 9, what time we got up early, that I remember. Exactly the time, I don't. But after breakfast, we each had our jobs. whatever it was, a few girls.
What did you do?
We helped cleaning, we helped doing the laundry. It was working. We helped cleaning the laundry, we helped in the summer, we helped in the gardens to do the taking out the grass, the bad grass. I don't know exactly what. I know we were in the garden with that, what do you call it, the shovel, to thing. In the winter, we went to get from sow the trees for wood, that we should be able to have a warm, that we should be able to, in one stove where we were, where we usually were in the evening, that we should be able to have some steam, some heat. It was, what else did we have? All kind of housework, all kind of outside work we were doing. And I don't remember, I think each time they changed one group like this and one group like that. And yes, like I said, we had to follow the complete Catholic religion.
How was it for you being brought up religiously? All of a sudden
it was hard. In the beginning it was very hard. Because we didn't know, they had to teach us when to kneel and when to get up and how to sit and how to say, But we could read the French, because it was in French, that the prayer books. So they taught us how and what and where, because we shouldn't be like, it should be normal for us. Because from around the village, from around where there were peasants who came into to the Mass and to, and to the Vepr, which is Sunday afternoon, and to all their prayers. Like I said, I don't exactly anymore remember too much of it, but we were singing together. We had to learn how to sing there, to be completely unnoticed, that we're not different, that we are Catholics, that we are, that we belong there. The only thing that we had different was our accent, which was more north, which was normal. We came from the north, we were bummed out. But like I said, and Sunday was a rest day, and I think they let us have a rest day on Saturday too. That I don't remember anymore, if they did or if they didn't. Because I know when any high holiday, they tried to help us. That I remember. Exactly, did we have to work that day or when? I don't remember that. But otherwise, we always worked. We always had to help in any kind of whatever they needed. Was it in the kitchen? Was it outside? Was it inside? Not that the sisters were bad to us, but we had to do our job. There was no question about it.
What was Christmas like?
What was Christmas like? We had to we had to go to Mass from 12 o'clock, midnight, I remember. And I remember that after that they had some sweets. I think they had some sweets, special treat after the midnight Mass. Exactly more, I don't remember.
And did it mix you up? Did it mix you up in a way? Or were you liked it maybe to do
Well, I like the sister. Once you start being in that place, you're a child. You get a little bit influenced. No question about it. But still, they did not force us and did not make us, so we were with them, but we were not with them, you understand? It's not like in some places, from what I heard, they were absolutely wanted to convert you, but these sisters didn't. That's one thing that I realized later on, that they were nice, because they did not, they tried to accommodate us with our religion, and they were, yes, we had to follow everything from the Catholics, but it was because for our good, not because they were forcing us. So, yes, we were a little bit influenced, You know, though I knew I was religious, though I knew as a child, you know, but still there are some things that you felt you liked because you knew what you were saying. But when I was praying in Hebrew, I didn't know till this day what I'm saying, except now I have English and Hebrew to translate. But it was a little influence. As a matter of fact, before I went away, my mother threw it away. The sisters gave me some little medals. And by me, this was a special thing, because from them, you know, it was a souvenir. How do you say souvenir? Remembrance in English.
Yeah.
And when my mother saw it, she right away took it away and threw it away. And I cried my eyes out, because it was something, you know, I had gotten used to that sister who took care of us, who was, like I said, she tried to be nice. And the Mother Superior, because until this day, I am writing still. And you know, after the war, as a matter of fact, this I forgot to say, when I came back in August to Saint-Affrique, I was supposed to go back and visit them on Christmas. But my mother had gotten very sick. She got pneumonia, and I had to stay with her. So I went back in maybe 6 weeks later to see them, because, you know, I wanted to visit them before I would go. I knew I would return to Belgium. And as a matter of fact, the Mother Superior at that time gave me back, to bring back to my mother, sugar, flour, you know, because at that time already they were able to get a lot of provision that normal people couldn't get. And she filled me up with food, that I remember, you know, to give that my mother should get better. What am I doing?
We will stop and then continue for the next. Please.
Talk. You know, during the flight from Antwerp until we ended up in France, there were bombs, and we were stopped, with bombing and all that stuff, like you go on a flight when the war is on. But you wanted me to talk more about the convent.
Yeah.
In the convent, like I said, Christmas was, like I said, after the Mass, they gave some sweet. And after that, I think we went to bed. And the next day was like any other day, you know, because we helped serve, we helped things. It wasn't a whole working day, but it was like anything else.
You got letters from your mother. What did she write to you in her letters? Do you remember?
Oh, that, you know, but people who still were hidden, who were still there, who were not deported, and that she was, as a matter of fact, they had tried again to catch her, and that she was, you know, she was, every night, every day, she was changing from address. Where she was sleeping, she wasn't, you know, she wasn't during the day, where she was during the day. And what she was doing in general, she was like hiding.
Yeah.
And if she was hiding, sometimes she was...
She still moved from one family to another?
Yes, from, you know, from people that she knew, you know, each time different. That if somebody saw her in this family, she wasn't there anymore, she was by another one. That's what I get. Do you think I remember what she was more or less writing? And she knew that I wrote to her, you know, that she shouldn't worry about me, that I was well taken care of, because I didn't want her to worry. And I was missing her naturally each time the tears were running when I was writing, which was like a child who was very spoiled, never was away from a home. Though the war was on, even in the, you know, I was always together, so I missed her terribly. And like I said, you know, we were together. You know, you had your nightmares in the convent. You were always afraid because, you know, the Gestapo was 4 kilometers away, sometimes 3 kilometers away. So you didn't go any place, you didn't go out, you didn't go to any place. You were always in that convent, and the fright was always there. Will they come again? Will they look for us? Will they, you know, I can't explain it. This is, like I said, sometimes until this day, my nightmares are there. I mean, God forbid, I didn't have like a lot of people, you know, that were in camp, but the fright always was there. The nightmares were always there. And then when my father and brother was lost, that we knew never, like I said, in the nightmares, I always feel that I'm losing my family, that I'm away and I'm looking for them and I cannot find them. It's with a lot of people, with running, with go. I cannot explain it, but it's like I wake up in sweat and trembling. It's something.
The girls between you.
We meet each other once for a birthday in New York.
Yeah, but I go back to the time of the convent.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you speak your heart in front?
Most of them were in the same thing, you know.
So what did you speak? What did girls speak about?
Girls speak about if we survive, if we're not getting caught, if we come back, what will be. We hoped what will be. We hope we'll find our family. We hope we'll be together. You know, there was always, in one way we were hoping, on the other way we were afraid. We didn't know exactly what was going on. We didn't know that they were killing people. This was only after, you know, that you heard talking and things, but you didn't know what it was. And from, you knew that they were at the end, you know, you knew that they were deporting, and you knew that you might not survive. You knew that burning, that we didn't know. What they were really doing, that we didn't know. But still, we were afraid. I cannot explain this. I mean, like I repeat myself, it's something that you're afraid of the unknown. You see, you're afraid. You don't know what's going to be. You don't know, will you see your mother again? Won't I see my mother again? Will she be caught? Won't she be caught? My father, I never heard about again. My brothers, I had known they were in Antwerp. But what happened to them, I had no idea. My brother in England, I didn't know that he was in England. It's that, you know, certainly when you were so spoiled, I mean, nicely spoiled, you know, nice. I was like a little, taken care like I said, I was a little princess. It was like, it's even more. You know, you were the main, I was everything in everybody's eyes. So naturally you were not only missing that, but you were afraid what's going to happen. Will I ever see my family? Will I ever be together with my family? Will I ever, you know, and these nightmares made it like you never find anybody, you never, you know.
But the Gestapo never visited, actually, the convent.
No. The only time that I saw really Germans and Gestapo, which I really was on the way when I went to see my father, and I was alone, and then we saw them outside when they were outside the portal. We like through shades we could see them. And that was it. And then we were running out to supposedly hiding places which really, if they would have come in, they would have found us like that. But still, we were all trembling and we were all trying to hide. But otherwise, no. We did not have anything to do with the Germans. Because the sisters went into town, they came back from town, you know, they were the one if you had a two-deck, you got from the nurse, you got a little something to calm it down. But you couldn't see a doctor, you couldn't see a dentist, you couldn't see anything, and you were with your pain. Because it was too dangerous, because they were already like 3-4 kilometers from us. And it was like the working every day was the same, you know, and we got used to that life. It had to be, there was no other way. But the nightmares were, and not only for me, the other girls were the same way. The other girls, some were more, you know, some were more stronger, some could take it better. I mean, the crying was there every night and every day. I was a very, you know, sensitive. So, I don't know, not everybody cried, not everybody, you know, was like me. Because as soon as I was thinking, I started crying. And I was eating very little. You know, I was like this. Like a size 2, size 3, 4. But it was a life that you got used to when we're working, or you know, when other things took your mind away from what really is, you were all right. But once you started, you know, once you had your free time, well, because the more they kept us busy, and we had to do what we had to do to see that we do it well, you know, that all that stuff we had to do. But otherwise it was, got like a normal life. Normal, not normal, but it was...
What did you feel in the day that they came and took you from the convent?
I was very happy to go home to my mother.
You were happy?
Very happy to go home. I cried again because from joy that I was able to go, that at least I'm going to see my mother. But later we'll have, oh yes, I was very happy. I was very, 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 very happy. You know, like I said, they tried to be nice, but it wasn't my, you know, as a child, it wasn't my home. I was always thinking, when will I be able to get, when will I, you know, will it come? And after June 6, 1944, I really started hoping that soon they will come and bring me back. And I don't know exactly when that part was liberated from the Maquis, you know, the French resistance. That I don't know exactly. But I knew it will be soon, and I started getting a little bit more, you know.
Did they give you news in the convents? How did you
we
know
knew when they landed.
Going out?
We knew when they landed from England. That we knew, that we heard. But in general, no. I don't know if they knew or if they didn't know, or how they knew. I have no idea. There were no radios, as far as I know. I don't know, did they get the papers? We didn't get any papers to read what was going on in the world. But every day was the same day. You know, it was monotonous. Every day was the same. We knew in the morning they gave us the jobs we had to do, and we had to do them perfectly. There was no question about it. If not, we had to redo it. But it was not, you know, it was not, like I said, the worst of what could have been worst. But then when I came back to my mother, I was very happy, and then we heard through the Red Cross from my brother from England. We didn't know what was happening to my other brothers or to my father. And I don't know how my mother had papers that my father, you know, because she got as a widow some little pension. I don't know how she knew or what, but the only thing I knew that my brother Philip was caught because he had run away. They had been in France, again on forced labor, and they jumped from the train, went back to Antwerp, and he was working with the White Brigade in Belgium, with a Professor Frank. And in Antwerp, somebody who wasn't Jewish recognized him and did report him to the Germans. In the street, he was caught. He was helping people with food, with, you know, with cards, with different things. That's what we knew from other people who were working in that same brigade after the war. That's what my mother told me. You know, all this is for me, again, I was 16 years old when the war had stopped, almost 17, but still, you know, I didn't know exactly from where she knew that. Was it from the Jewish Committee? How she got that, I don't know. That I don't remember. But otherwise, the only thing that I have until this day is my nightmares. They didn't go away. That fright that you are looking and losing, and you know, even with my own children, I have these nightmares where I'm looking for them, that I lost them, I cannot find them. That, you know, not, thank God, not always, but still from time to time. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, not there, not in my own home, until I open up really my eyes and see everything is normal. That's my story.
What was, when you came back to Antwerp, yes?
No, to Brussels.
Brussels.
Yes. From where my money, what she did, how she made...
How did you adjust back to the life? First to the Jewish life, first.
To the Jewish life, yes.
How do you adjust after being in the convent
All
for
right.
some time?
All
No
right.
problem.
No problem, no. Except like I told you, my mother was afraid for me, like she threw all that, whatever I had from the convent, she threw it out. She let me write to them, but she threw out any souvenirs that I had. And she watched me if I had any, if I got any other things in my head. No, but it was normal back. And yes, I tried to learn to go work in an office. After, in Brussels, I wasn't too good in typing, but like doing other works in an office. And then after the war, I became a children's from orphans. I worked in, I don't know if you heard from Antwerp, the Monaster Jewish home from children. Did you hear about it? No. Because there were a lot of kids who came over here in 1949 from that home, from that children's home to Nitzanim. They were transported from Antwerp to Nitzanim, and I was supposed to go with them, but my mother wouldn't let me. I wanted to go with them, but she wouldn't let me. And, at that time you listened to your mother. Even I was almost 18, 19, but you still listened, not like today's children. I can't complain, thank God, my children listen to me too. But, and after that I was working in an office again. After I worked in the children's home, I was a monitrice. Do you know French? No. Okay, it was like watching them, helping them with their homework, teaching them.
So many of them actually were Holocaust survivors.
Yes, the children were, all the children were either full of...
In what situation were they after they went through this hell?
I don't know, because they either had one parent and the parent couldn't take care of it, that they were in the home, or they had lost both parents and they had an uncle or a grandfather who had been here, who couldn't take care of them and who was in that home. It was a home just for half orphans, full orphans, or like I said, one person couldn't take care of them. And I worked for about 4 years like that. After I finished by Monaster, I went into a more, because Monaster was a secular home, wasn't religious. They were more, I kept my religion, but it was secular. Where then I went into to Tiefenbrunn in Antwerp.
To where?
Tiefenbrunn. The house was again from children from orphans. And they were a religious home until I got married. Until I got engaged and married.
And what happened to the rest of your family?
My brother in England is married, is a great-grandfather.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yes, he has too. And then my brother here. And my father never came back, and my oldest brother never came back. And my mother was in New York with us.
Do you know what happened to uncles and grandparents?
They all must have been deported or killed. As a matter of fact, I have a cousin who she knows more because she was brought up. I didn't know, this is another little story, where the cousins from Antwerp, in Belgium, they came here too with their mother. They were all here. They were in Italy, the most, except for one who had been married, they were 8 children, because there were 9 children, I think. There were 8 children, and they were all in Italy, used to be with their father, but the father got caught, deported, and the older sister and her husband was with them during the war, and they had been hidden too, and then there came from Israel a transport of children who came over here to New York in one of the camps that they made in New York, that they made, I don't know how it was called, and they all 8 were together, and the mother with 2 younger ones came after the war back to Antwerp, where these kids had been brought to New York, and she went to New York, and that cousin was living in Williamsburg, one of the cousins, and he went into a shoe store, what means it, and he met a person who asked him, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Weinstein." And he said, "My name is Weinstein too. From where do you come?" So I said, he told him, I was originally from Belgium, from Antwerp. I was born, happened to be born in France here. And they were talking. He happened to be married to a first cousin from us, which we never knew. It was from the sister from my father.
You left from Belgium to the United States, yes?
Yes.
Culturally, how did you adapt?
In 1954, in 1954, my son was 8 months old when I brought him here too. In 1950, we were engaged, still, my husband and me. But I got married officially in Belgium in May. Really, I got married in December on the Jewish wedding, which counted for me.
Was he also?
But for my husband to be able to work and to be able to become a regular citizen because of me, because I wasn't Belgian, because you had to apply. I could have become Belgian because I was all these years, but I wasn't. In Belgium there was a white carte d'identité ID, there was a yellow ID, and there was a green ID. The green ID is Belgian. The yellow ID is people who were living all their life in Belgium but didn't become Belgian. And the white ID is people who came in who were not supposed to stay, who were supposed to be in transfer. And my husband was like that. He had come in, he was a DP at the place from Poland. He had run away, you know, they were in Russia during the war, my husband. And they went back to Poland, but didn't stay in Poland because it was very dangerous. So they had paid for, I don't know who, they went to Germany. And they were placed in a German DP camp, the placement camp. And from the placement camp, he had a sister who was married in Switzerland with a Swiss. And he got papers to get there for visitors. And while he was in Switzerland, a cousin brought him to Belgium. And he was staying with an aunt and cousins in Belgium. That's how I met my husband, through introduction. But I got married in December 1950. Officially, I was married May 9th, 1950. And in Jewish, which I counted my real wedding, I was married in December, in the Jewish law, you know, which was my real wedding. As a matter of fact, when we got married officially, we had 2 different addresses, and the guy said, "How come that you live separate? He by his parents and me by my mother."
Is he also a Holocaust survivor, your husband?
From Russia. My husband was in Russia, in Siberia.
And I asked you, what was it for you to go from the European culture coming to United States?
Oh, from the United States, it was hard. We came in 1954 because it was, I think did I tell you? We had gotten 3, because we applied when we were still engaged. When we were, you know, when we were still engaged, officially we were already married. So we applied to Canada, and we applied because, like I told you, at that time, when the war in Korea, I think, started at that time in 1950, I'm not too sure. There was a war from America, and and the Russians, was a question that the Russians will come into Belgium, will take all Europe over, like the Germans. So we applied to Canada and we applied to America. The Canadian visa we left completely, let go out. And after having 3 times being notified that we could get our visas to America, the 4th time they wrote a note, if we do not go to America at that time, we won't be able anymore to reapply to get to America, we will never be able to get into America. So we left for America in 1954.
But
the life was very hard in the beginning. It was very hard because you know, I knew a little English, but not too much. And I had a baby in my hands. And we came and we were in, right away, first we were in Williamsburg because my mother lived in Williamsburg. My mother had gone before us to America. And we were by her for about a few weeks. And then my husband got a job, like, you know what a shamus is? To be able, because he really was in diamond. He knew how to clean, but it was not, he couldn't get any job. And he was in fur. So they got him, we went to live in Borough Park, and he was the shamus by that rabbi. And he paid, you know, and he got a little money from that. And then the Jewish committee got him a job in the garment center, you know, to bring things and to schlep, you know, and he was by a very nice guy. He worked by, you know, made almost no money, but he was very, and he taught him how to become a cutter in material. So he started making a little bit more money as a cutter. You know, he taught him how, he employed him. He was really his teacher. So then he went away, that boss. And then my husband was working as a cutter in another place. And he didn't want him to have the Jewish holidays off. So he took off from vacation days, half a week sometimes. He didn't get paid, but took off anyway, because at that time it was very unusual a person should keep, you know, the Jewish holidays or Saturday. And he, you know, he worked his way up, and then he met, as a matter of fact, from the same village where Gela's, how do you call her, Gela? Husband is. There was another person who had already, like, he had import and export already. He was a few years here, and he took my husband as his manager. And that was in 1959 or 57, I think, 1957. And after that time, my husband started making, you know, a normal, not too well, but a normal living. And I had my daughter in 1950. My son was born in 1953 in Antwerp. He was 8 months old when I brought him. And my daughter was born in June 1955.
I understand that the sisters in the convent.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm reading.
The sisters in the convent were recognized as righteous among the nation. Were you in contact with them? Did you tell the story of this wonderful help?
To whom?
To Yad Vashem or to anybody?
No, I didn't. No, the only time that I wrote in the favor of the sisters, the only time that I wrote in was when they were applying to give them, you know, a Gentile, what they call. Yes.
To be a righteous
to be a Gentile.
Gentile.
So I wrote in that the Notre Dame, the Mère Superior, that when she risked her life, when the Gestapo came to the convent, and for Sir Jean, I don't even remember if I wrote in anything. But it's over here in Yad Vashem. If you will look it up, you can find it. Because she...
But you yourself, you were not in contact, you did not write to them.
Yes, I did all the time. Not only
you were
was
in contact with them.
Not only did I was in contact, I used to send them money.
To send them money.
Yes, yes.
Did you visit again?
No. No, the only time
Wouldn't
that
you
I
like to go back
that
to
I
see?
saw, no, the only time that I saw Mère Superior, yes, was when I was going with my daughter the first time for her 16th birthday, because my husband's mother was still living, and I promised her for her 16th birthday, because I didn't want her to go with a group. I never believed to leave her alone going. So I came to Israel the first time in 1970. She was 655. 70 is 15. 71. In 1971 was the first time that I was coming to Israel. And the plane stopped in Paris. And the sister came to see me at Paris between the time that, you know, that we stopped with the plane, that they refueled in Paris, and she came to see me, and that was the only time that I saw the Mother Superior. And Sir Jean, I saw the only time back was when they honored her here in Yad Vashem, because she came to Yad Vashem, and they put a plaque. I don't know exactly where it is over here in Yad Vashem. So that time I saw the tree that they planted for Notre Dame, and I saw when they put the plaque up. As a matter of fact, and we made pictures because the cantor was singing. There was a whole, you know, Almal Rachman for the people, and there was, and that we were together over here in Yad Vashem.
Clara, before we end up our interview, would you like to add something more?
Well, I would like to add that, thank God, I have a wonderful, beautiful family. My son lives here since 1981. When he came here, he had my oldest grandson, who was 23 months old. And then he had my granddaughter, Talia, who's now 20 years old. And my grandson was going to be in the 23rd, 16 years old. And I came to the bas mitzvah for my youngest granddaughter, Ariella, who's going to be tomorrow bas mitzvah, which is, tomorrow is the date of, what are we today? The 7th, 8th, Yom Yerushalayim. So in the evening of Yom Yerushalayim, she's going to bas mitzvah. And then I have my daughter, thank God, who was married since 1975. And she has a daughter from 23 years old. And she has twins who are going to be 19 in August. So I have a gorgeous family, Kunahar, which I'm very, very proud of. My son has a pharmacy, who is a pharmacist, finished all his studies in America. When he came here, he passed the exams to be able to work as a pharmacist. And my grandson over here finished his, how do you say, aviation, the Air Force, which I don't know what he did there, was not allowed to know. And my granddaughter, I'm very proud of her too. She's finishing her army here in June, beginning of June. And my granddaughter my daughter is a high school teacher, And my granddaughter is manager in her office, working in an office. She's going to college, finishing as manager, business manager. And my granddaughter is in New York, in seminary and in college. She wants to become a nurse. And my grandson is studying over here in Merkaz in Talpiot, Yeshiva Merkaz in Talpiot. So I'm very proud of my whole family. Thank God my son-in-law has his own office as a certified accounting. And my daughter-in-law is working here in the Jewish, American Jewish Community Agency. She's a CEO. And I'm very proud of my children. And my husband, thank God, is fine. He has some trouble with his health. That's why he couldn't come. But hopefully the kids will come to New York. And that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, too. And like I said...
Now we will...
Okay, in the middle is myself, my husband, with the glasses, Benny. On top, I'll start on top now. On the left is Dovi, my grandson, Eddie, my son, Aline, Ilana, my daughter-in-law. Then is my bar mitzvah grandson with his head, Chaim. Then is my daughter, Vivian. And the tall one is my son-in-law, Sam. And next to Sam is his daughter, Ita, my granddaughter. Then on the bottom is Hudi, Ehud. Then is Talia, who sits next to me. Then is next to my husband sits Sammy, my brother. And on the bottom is Risa, my granddaughter, and Ariella, my little granddaughter. And the whole one is the whole family. That picture was taken 3 years ago. No, 6 years ago. I don't have a recent picture, but they all look alike like now, only they're a lot taller now, the little ones.